Has this ever happened to you? Man, people only ever review one disc at a time. Well, boy, do I have a deal for you. For the low price of absolutely demolishing that like button, we'll take a look at not one, not two, but 3 discs in one video. Actually, I already filmed the other part, so you don't have to like it, but you know, whatever. I've had some pretty stupid intros, but I think that one might be the worst. Anyway, we're looking at 3 discs today, the Maverick, the Getaway, and the Captain, and I'm going to go as quick as I can while giving a decent amount of information. So, we will start with the Maverick. The Maverick is like a 6 or 7 speed understable fairway driver. It's got a rim that's just a little bit bigger than a mid-range. It's got some good dome to it. It's just got a really good feel in the hand. It's really easy to throw. So if you don't have a ton of arm speed, but you want an easy, nice and straight flyer, the Maverick is going to be what you're going for. On a hyzer release, it flips up to flat, and if you control your angles, you can get it to finish to the right or just finish straight with a little bit of fade. It's kind of it's very workable. You can use it for a lot of different lines. I use this on hole 7 at Burns Blue. It's a tunnel shot, and you really can't fade to the left because there's OB there. You can't flip over too much to the right because there's OB there. And this disc just went dead straight. Flipped up to flat, glided a little bit to the right, and then kind of came back and just ended up dead straight. So that's what this disc does on a hyzer release. On a flat release, it held the anhyzer super easily. It didn't even try to fight out. Because it's got that slow speed, it's not going to have a ton of fade at the end. And on an anhyzer release, I can actually get a pretty good roller out of it. If you're thinking about learning how to throw a roller and you don't have a ton of arm speed, you might check out the Maverick. Or later in the year, the Patrol is going to be a mid-range that comes out that I hear rolls pretty well. So forehand, I can forehand slow discs and understable discs, but I could not get this one to come out right. I think it's because the rim isn't quite square. It kind of angles inwards a little bit, which is good. It gives it more glide, but it just messes with my forehand and I couldn't get it to come out right. It is kind of understable, so probably not the best, not the most ideal forehand disc. I would compare the Maverick in my bag to my beat up Emac Truth. Maybe a little bit more distance, but a very similar flight for sure. So moving on to the Getaway. The Getaway is my favorite from the bunch. It was billed as the big brother to an Escape. So it's like a 9-speed, it's got tons of glide, and it's a lot more stable than I expected. Thrown on a hyzer, it would flip up to flat, but it wouldn't really worry about flipping over unless I threw it in a headwind. It would hold the hyzer really well and have a nice controllable fade. I actually believe I have the first ever Getaways, the first ever Getaway ace, thanks AJ Risley. Hole 1 at Burns Blue, 340 feet. Somewhat of a tunnel shot, not really that tight of a tunnel, but just popped it up there nice and high, and it skipped and flared into the basket. So I like the Getaway. It's an all right disc. That's what it does on a hyzer. It holds a hyzer really well. On a flat release, it reminded me of the stability of a Ballista Pro, but slower. So I could force it over, get it to move to the right if I wanted to, or if I didn't, it would just sort of hold straight. But it always had a good, reliable fade. It was always coming out. It's not like it ever flipped over and was just toast. On an anhyzer release, it held the ante really well, and it faded out towards the end, so I wouldn't really call it an anhyzer shot disc, or it's not going to be your maximum distance fairway driver, but it's very controllable, very accurate, and good and stable, and it actually handled the headwind pretty well. Forehand, this rim is a little bit more square than the Maverick, so this one handled my forehand really well. It would flip up to flat, even in a headwind, wouldn't really flip over. It handles torque really well. That's really what the forehand tests, is if you can really torque on a disc and it still flies the same, because some discs will fly completely different if they have more velocity and not as much RPMs. But this one might actually replace some of my Biofusion Criminals. And last but not least, we have the Captain. The Captain is a high-speed, understable driver. It's got tons of distance and tons of glide. I would put it about the same speed as a Trespass, maybe a little bit faster, so maybe like a 13, but it's a good controllable flip disc. On a hyzer release, it would flip up to flat and glide to the right before coming back and landing about straight from where I threw it. So it's got a really great hyzer flip to it. On a flat release, it would hold the right really well, long, big anhyzer, and it wouldn't really worry about fading out at the end. It would hold the anhyzer pretty well, and really well at the same time. On an anhyzer release, it actually was a pretty good roller for me. I could get it down fairly controllably, even in the headwind, which is kind of rare, and it would roll fairly straight, but with a lot of distance to it for sure. Forehand, I could get this disc to flip up to flat and flip over. It was a really good hyzer flip, like a controlled touchy shot if you need to really control your angles on the forehand. It is an understable disc though, so it was kind of trickier to get that release right. So in my bag, I would compare the Captain to a beat up Trespass. I have one that'll hold the anhyzer pretty well. It's a good long flyer. I would say that's about what the Captain reminds me of. And lastly, I wanted to see how far I could make these discs go. So I had a tailwind, I just crushed them as hard as I could, and the Maverick flipped over a little bit and then glided back, finished fairly straight. This one got out to 403 feet in a tailwind. That's impressive. It's a 7-speed, but it's just got a ton of glide, I guess. The Getaway here went about 418. It's a little bit more stable, so it's not gonna have quite as much distance, but still, this has got a ton of glide. It went really far to tailwind. And the Captain here, this Captain went 477 feet. That's a bomb for me. I'm a small guy. I don't throw super far, but this disc has got some distance to it for sure. And that's it for this week's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out these discs when they release sometime in 2018. I don't have a release date for them yet. I will probably be in Kansas, hopefully be in Kansas by the time this video releases. As you can see, I'm moving. I have nothing on the walls back there. It's kind of echoey and scary in my apartment right now, but I will be moving on Saturday. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Always remember, slow is smooth and smooth is far.